Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and people. Welcome to episode 7 of MNW In A Nutshell, which is episode 4 of Warzone in a Nutshell for the show dated Saturday, the 11th of September, 2021, Pacific Daylight Time, with Warzone normally being broadcasted on twitch.tv/Dr. Caliban. But for MNW In A Nutshell, your host is the MNW resident bookkeeper and statistician, Carla Bader from Victoria, Australia. Without further ado, let's get into our sequence of events for the 11th of September, Pacific Daylight Time. So the first thing we had on this show was an audio promo from our roughneck boozy brawler, Burnout Vaughn. In this promo, things are starting to get to him. He says he loses the world title, he comes back at Multivania, and then he's too distracted to even climb that ladder, so I see he's having a little bit of a rant here. He comes back and he gets forced to relive Omega Club History 101 for the 1,000th, more like a millionth time. And then he says his title match was moved back to a week where his buddies aren't present. And then he gets screwed over by Sir Uncle Dunk and his pet monkey, which is actually Mr. Butler in the mask. So, of course, he's pissed. But he'll slide on in there to the Nexus Championship tournament and he'll fight all the way to the top. And he's going to give Sir Uncle Dunk hell before taking that title. Oops. No, he's not even in the Nexus Titan Championship tournament there. He says he's not even good enough to make it onto the card. So with the new general manager, Jerry Aldini, he assures him, I've got your back, or you're booked next week, only to find out he's in a cheap-ass, flashbang branded 8-man showcase match. And the commentators can't even remember the number of times that Burnout Vaughn's held the world title. So Burnout Vaughn basically finds himself in the same place as always, the biggest misfit in the multiverse, too much of a monster to ignore. It's the new boss, but the same shit. But since the show is under new management, he says he'll take some time to plan out exactly what he wants to do. Perhaps he'll start with one of the rookies and he's going to tear them apart. And then he might go after another world champion or drag the MVP out of retirement or maybe even go down to Flashbang and remind them who took one of their 2 world championships and taught them what the face of violence really looked like. So all of them, no matter who they are, where they think they're from, any member on the roster better keep an eye over their shoulder because they could be the next potential victim that Burnout Vaughn uses to make a point. And then we have an in-ring promo with our general manager, Jerry Aldini. He goes, thanks for that, Burnout Vaughn. Another worry on his plate now. And then he discusses that last week was supposed to be the Outlaws match between Vinsmoke, which, is it going to be a handicap match? But because of the Outlaws' earlier attack on them on last week, the match is now happening this afternoon as the main event. Congratulations, boys. See where waiting gets you sometimes. And Jerry goes on to say that if the Outlaws lose that match, there are going to be consequences. And then there are also, throughout this afternoon, going to be 2 other round 1 tag team matches, as well as 2 Nexus Titan Championship tournament matches. And then next week with the Nexus Titan tournament, that's going to be the finals, round 3, before facing Sir Uncle Dunk. And then there is also going to be a match this week in regards to the Big Oof title. Tonight is the first of 2 fatal 4-way elimination matches. And then the winners of those 2 4-way matches will face each other. And then the winner of that final 1-on-1 match will face Bart Ender at Apocalypse, which is the pay-per-view on 9th of October. And then Jerry goes on to say that he has to figure out something for McMorgan. And lastly, we better not forget that XR Kun and Kane also have a match tonight. So then we go into our 8-man showcase match, eliminations, falls count anywhere. Coming rank 8 is our Legion member, Louis McDonald. 7th is our Squatch Roast Coffee mascot and Battleground Championship winner, Sasquatch Wing. Half of the O-Lords, I forgot to say. And then we have our Angry Dwarf Daggerick coming in at rank 6. We have our Quebecois Lade Highrold coming in 5th. We have a third of Chained Hell, the Flame Revenant, coming 4th. We have one half of Blood Money, Mr. Butler. So we see he must have come back from his nightmare because he came 3rd in this showcase match. And then we've got our returning Gunnar Birch. He came 2nd. And then for her 2nd showcase win, we have Uzra, who took the win with a pinfall. And this week I did say I was going to go through the Warzone showcase wins as I did Flashbangs last week. So without further ado, let's have a look at the Warzone showcase records to date. As of the 11th of September 2021, Pacific Daylight Time, we have our only Dark Show winner, Gorewheel. This means that there was a showcase match on a non-canon show, and the winner of that was Gorewheel. And then we have our one win group. So with one win, we have Leonid Sanchez, Devon of Shoot Nation, Bartender of Nakama Worldwide, Leonid is in High Voltage. We have Registered Anon, the HR man in the vents. We have our Legend Incarnate Beowulf, 1/3 of Chained Hell Hightower, Omega Club's Alpha Kong, and the mysterious Storyteller. So that's 8 contestants who have had one win so far. And then we go on to our 2-time winners, Omega Club's Whitney Lee, as well as Omega Club's Kelly, and then also Uzra. So the total winners, so there are 12 winners, 1 Dark Show winner, 8 1-time winner, and 3 2-time winners. And then the total amount of showcase matches considered in this record is 15. So now let's continue on with the rest of the canon show for this week. Next up is an audio promo by Mr. Butler explaining how he got back to Warzone after spending this entire nightmare at Disneyland. So, how did Mr. Butler escape from that nightmare? Flash back to where he defeated Captain Hook on Mount Thunder. Captain Hook summons Heartless. Come out, Heartless, in which Mr. Butler must use a special Keyblade to take them out. Tossed into the air, the Keyblade transforms into some sort of glider. He says, let's rescue the boss. And then Mickey Mouse music starts playing while Captain Hook's ship supposedly heads to Florida. End of flashback. Somebody else who's a fan of Kingdom Hearts. But unfortunately, at the end of the flashback, he ended up back at Warzone instead of in Florida where, he needed to go to rescue Sir Uncle Dunk. Must be because he doesn't know how to use the Keyblade. So for now, he will be watching the Nexus Titan Championship tournament to crown his next challenger, because any winner is just going to end up the loser. So then we have our second match of the afternoon, which is one of the tag team matches for the tag team tournament. And once again, the winner of this tournament will face Toxic Wastelanders. Sorry, I haven't seen them in a while. That's why I'm forgetting their name. And the members of the Toxic Wastelanders are Gorewheel and Revenant. But back to this match, we have Nice Ice and Lucken of the Eastern Bloc Party going up against the Beef and Suplex Sam, the Suplex Express of VIP. Eastern Bloc Party won that match with, if I just flip my notes over, Lucken pinning the Beef. So that means that Eastern Bloc Party will be going on to round 2 of the tag team tournament. We then have our second in-ring promo by Scottishman McMorgan. In this promo, McMorgan calls out the general manager, Jerry, for saying that He has to figure it out. McMorgan says that is bullshit. McMorgan is the Warpgate Hardcore Championship. People should give a damn about this man. He's already had 2 successful defenses, and he is simply not an afterthought. He wants an opponent, he wants somebody to fight, and he wants it now. He says, do you have High Rolled again, Daggerick? I'll take Sasquatch Wing. I will take anyone. I demand a match next week. Never say I have to figure out McMorgan ever again. He says he'll do a 3-man. He'll fight everybody. He'll do it in a showcase. I don't care. Do not forget me. Do not ignore me. He says he'll even take on Louis McDonald, Notorious CAT, Gorm, or he'll go up against a Flashbang Minotaur, or he even makes mention of the Flashbang #1 contender Johan Mjoln. He says to not make him wait until Apocalypse. Or else perhaps. We will see. So for the next event, we have our first singles match of the Nexus Titan Championship Tournament. In round 2, we have VIP's Wilson, son of Will, going against the Conquest Bloodlines' second leader, I would say, the Lady of the House, Lady Boots. And in this match, Lady Boots has won against Wilson, son of Will, with a pinfall. So it is not looking like a very good night for VIP so far. Lady Boots will be proceeding to round 3 of the Nexus Titan Championship Tournament. We then have our first fatal 4-way match for the Big Oof #1 contendership. Coming in 4th place is our social outcast Ignacio Cervantes. And then 3rd, our Omega Club hero, Sentai hero, Mega Blitz X. We have the mysterious Mr. Enigma coming in 2nd place. And claiming 1st place with a pinfall is Sparrow of the Sentinels. So whoever wins the second fatal 4-way match will be facing Sparrow, and then the winner of that match will be facing Bartender at Apocalypse on October the 9th, Pacific Daylight Time. We then have an audio promo from our currently rambunctious Maximilian Thunderthighs. He says everything was on the line for that match that he had with Nice Ice, and he hopes that was legit enough for him. But then Max still won that match, which is a bit of a surprise for him, I guess. The truth is, Max beat Nice Ice and VIP beat Max. VIP are better than Max. They will claim those trios belts from Flashbang. They will bring them home to Warzone. And there's a statement to the brass from Max if they want it so badly. And that statement is, people intend vengeance, delinquent, evil, malicious, atrocious, revolting, furious, perplexing longevity entirely here. And then Max goes on to say that if it's not good enough, too bad, that is simply his statement. Why does it feel so dirty? He thinks he's the bad guy. Okay, Max, I'm sus about where this is going, but I'll let things sort themselves out. Moving on to the next event, we have an in-ring response to Max's promo by our resident investigator, but I guess wannabe more wrestler, Papusa Monkey P.I. Papusa heard Max's promo while he was backstage. Although he simply wants to wrestle, he is also a trained investigator. Papusa says that when something isn't right, he can't simply just shut his instincts off. Papusa isn't buying whatever Max is trying to sell him. He says there is something deeper than that, something that Max isn't telling them. He says for Max to either admit what he did or tell them if he didn't take the money. But the diversions that are happening just do not make sense. Either Max can explain himself or Papoose Monkey PI will have to start digging, in which he will find the answers. Max never came to the ring, so now they have to do this the hard way. And then after that promo, we did receive a social media tweet from Maximilian Thunderthighs. It went something along the lines of, "Oh, you want to start digging? Here's a shovel, Papoosa." I wonder what he means by that. Gee, he's getting a bit snarky there. So I guess we will find the fallout of that in the following weeks. And then we have our fifth match, which is a regular singles match. We remember that XR Kun came to, I guess, bait Kane into becoming his apprentice. And I guess XR Kun and Kane were kind of fighting it out. XR Kun was teasing Kane in the ring. And then they said, "Okay, let's have a match. You know, Kane, if you lose, you're going to become my apprentice." But that didn't happen. The man with 8,602 moves got a win against the Sith Lord XR Kun with a pinfall. However, after that, there seems to be a backstage event between Kane and the faking Erking Wes. He's already back on Warzone and causing mischief. I thought he'd wait a little bit, but I forget he's one of the best, or should I say worst, heels in the multiverses, so why would I think any mischievous heel would wait to cause trouble? No, they're going to do it first chance they get. So they're in the, the extra training ring. There's an empty ring at the back of the arenas. And Earl King must have done something strange with it, as when they were fighting, it's like they were swimming in the fabric. And there was another strange fey glitch. I'm trying to find it in my notes. Oh, it doesn't say it, but it was odd. It felt like a weird dream rather than a backstage encounter. To something more, I guess, believable and realistic, we have an in-ring promo in which firstly Beowulf is out by himself. And he says that he is not satisfied. The Legend Incarnate is not satisfied with his standings with Sergeant Major Payne. He wants another match, and being the entitled wrestler he thinks he is, he says he wants a cage match. That they've met in showcase matches, singles, 3-on-3 tag team, but not a cage match. A cage match, no one else can interfere. But then this quickly catches the attention of the general manager, Jerry Aldini, in which he says that Jerry is the only one that can make the matches. It's the brass that makes the matches, not the wrestlers themselves. But then Beowulf also isn't even a title holder, so who is he to even speak? The Beowulf is not satisfied despite one showcase win. He says he wants competition and that he wants to prove himself against Sergeant Major Payne. So please, give me the cage match. But then, does Beowulf really want Sergeant Major Payne that badly? Jerry says they will both be booked next week, but there are going to be 2 singles matches in which they will each be fighting a handpicked opponent by Jerry. And only if Jerry is impressed enough, then they, Beowulf and Sergeant Major Payne will have their match at Apocalypse on October the 9th. So any in-ring promos are not done by our fans. It is prepared and commentated by our, I guess, general manager and show host. So I guess this is a surefire lesson, a metaphorical lesson. Please do not book your own matches unless you have legitimately discussed it with the showrunner in private and it runs with their story. This is just a way of saying, be careful and actually make sure it works. Gimmick matches such as cage matches are for special events like pay-per-views. So I guess just to keep that in mind in the context of this fun in-ring promo. So now we will move on to our next event, which is another tag team match for our tag team tournament, graduating to fight the Toxic Wastelanders, the current belt holders. This time we have Absolute Washington and Forrest T. Wade of the Absolute Units, accompanied by their third faction member, TJ the Mint Gable, and they are fighting it out against Chasley and Arkov of the Murder Cave, accompanied by Dr. Grimm. In this one, I've got to go to my notes because I forgot to add the win-loss thing. Hold on a sec. Page 3. Gotcha. So the All-Father Arkov had tapped Absolute Washington out, and that's why the Murder Cave are moving on to round 2 of the tag team tournament. This is followed up by another backstage encounter in the same area as before, and even though the fake King, Earl King, is not there anymore, he seems to have left behind the strange physics in the ring. But this time, hang on a second, XR-kun is being attacked by Trice, who is a faction member of Legion, which Kane is also a faction member in. So Trice is not happy, supposedly, about what XR has been doing to Kane. And then that went on for a while. And then we have an audio promo by our resident funky clone trooper, Defunk, in which he says, "Did you see that match last week? That he went up against High Voltage's Aiden Zero, and by some miracle, he did not die. Aiden Zero isn't here for entertainment, he's here to be extreme, but Defunk is so thankful for his and Aiden's friendship. But then he says that now it is time to think for the next match. He's going to need all the fans' help to channel his inner funk and to go extreme and go big. And this is more than just winning gold. This is about everybody in the multiverse, proving that anybody can win the belt, and that if a dancing clone trooper can win the belt, then he can do anything." And after that promo, we have the actual match which is discussed. The belt he was talking about was the Nexus Titan Championship. So here we have our other singles match, our second singles match. The VI Pharaoh Ozzy Turan going against the Stormtrooper Defunk. And unfortunately, VIP are not running out of bad luck anytime soon. They need some good luck, but yeah. So Defunk won against Ozzy Turan. He tapped him out there. So Defunk, just like Lady Boots, will be moving on to round 3. So I believe this means that Defunk will be fighting Lady Boots, and then either Defunk or Lady Boots will be facing Sir Uncle Dunk for that belt when he gets back from, I guess, Disney World, whatever's happening to him over there. And then we have our last match of the afternoon, our main event as promised, the tag team match, again for the tournament. We have CJR Killer, that stands for Cash Job Repeat. Cash Job Repeat Killer and Theron Eldrazi versus Smoke and Mirrors, Vince Smoke Sanji, and the Janitor. The Janitor. Yeah, I remember that guy. He has the face of somebody else familiar. I seem to remember something to do with royalty, glorious, or maybe I just dreamt about that sometime, but yeah, that guy's face gives me similar vibes. But yeah, now with the tag team names, the Outlaws, that's their actual established tag team names. Smoke and Mirrors is my own initiative because sometimes these tag teams don't have names, and as the record keeper, bookkeeper, I sometimes get a little bit mischievous or cheeky and I think, this might be a good name. And then, if it works, I put it down. If not, I don't. But for this one, Smoke and Mirrors it is until further notice. So, with an impressive feat, the Janitor pinned the Cash Job Repeat Killer. And remember what Jerry Aldini said in that first promo? That if the Outlaws lost that match, there were going to be consequences. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, I mean, it wasn't an idle threat. I wonder if that's going to come to light. And with that being said, Smoke and Mirrors goes on to round 2 of the tag team tournament. And then lastly, we have an audio promo from the main event Mex.exe's R. Sawyer 3.6. He's also one half of the Robros. And if I go to page 3 of my notes, Sawyer goes on to say that he is sending a message to Theron Eldrazi and CJR Killer because the winner of match 8 is going to be facing Meme next week. But bots don't often forgive, and they rarely forget. Theron Eldrazi was the one who worked with the Murder Cave to keep Zacho Duo from getting the world title that he now has. And then CJR, that cash job repeat killer, is apparently one that puts wrestlers into vehicular incidents. But Malice is the vehicular incident. Since the Gorm elimination incident, Malice has not been a very happy robot at all. On a good day, Malice will crush your rib cage and your spine with the blue screen of death. But if you screw around with Vinsmoke Outlaws, then you are going to find out what Malice is like on a bad day. So I suggest you watch out and don't do anything stupid, kids. So that is it for this episode of Saturday Afternoon Warzone, 11th of September 2021. The show length for this week's show is 2 hours, 53 minutes and 5 seconds. And then if we go to our segment summary, we had 8 matches, 9 promos, and 2 backstage encounters, both in that weird flibbity swimming ring. So that gives us a total of 19 events. And if we subtract 5 audio promos, that gives us a final total of 14 produced events. And I have also just attached the current standings for the tag team tournament. So as you can see, we have done 2 rounds. We still have 2 more rounds to go before we get 3 more rounds. And then the winner will obviously face the Toxic Wastelanders. So in the coming weeks, we are going to have Omega Club versus Legion, Chained Hell versus the Murder Cave, Eastern Bloc Party versus Shoot Nation, and Vinsmoke and the Janitor, who I call Smoke and Mirrors, versus Meme. That is all for Saturday Afternoon Warzone for 11th of September 2021. If you would like to catch Warzone live or just need to remember where you can find it, please go to twitch.tv/Dr. Caliban, Saturday afternoons, statically for now at 1:00 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. This has been your host for Warzone in a Nutshell, Carla Beta. Good morning, afternoon, night, or evening, or wherever you are. Thank you very much, and see you next week.